Well, I have just returned from seeing Transformers Dark of the Moon. It is 3 a.m., so don't be too surprised if I start nodding off by the end of this review. Um, Overall impressions. Hmm, I'm not sure what to think of this one quite yet. I mean, I have my initial reaction, but I, this is how I'll put it. If you were foaming at the mouth at the second one, you're gonna say it wasn't as bad as the second one, but then you're gonna go on a 40-minute tangent where you start ripping this new one. At this point, you know what you're getting into. We all know what we're getting into. So I can't yell at it and complain because it's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. It fell into all sorts of expectations I had for the film. I didn't have that high of a bar, and so therefore it met it. It met it. I was okay with it. It's not a great film. It's enjoyable for the explosions. Really, I want someone to actually count the number of explosions in this movie because that would be a feat in and of itself. But really, it did what I wanted. It's certainly an improvement. They got rid of most of the annoying characters, um, except for that little robot. I forget his name. He's in it, but he's not in it too much. And I have to admit that those two, there's actually two little robots, which we didn't see the other one in the last one, but there's two little robots living with Sam in this one with his new hot girlfriend. We'll get into all that in a second, but I have to admit I did laugh at a lot of their jokes. Uh, so if you found the last one tolerable, you'll find this one tolerable. Uh, I actually wind up buying it on DVDs because I own the other two, and I hate that when if I have a couple movies from a franchise, I kind of have to buy all the movies from the franchise. But I think I can wait. Mm. However, it's a more tight script. You have some understanding. It does try to bring a few franchise questions to a close. So I'm going to start getting into spoiler territory. Though I think I should first talk about my impressions on the Transformers franchise as a whole here, just so you know my frame of reference. Now, I was born in '85 here, which means I didn't get to see much of the Transformers. When I saw the Transformers on TV, it was in reruns and sporadic. At that point, Transformers was the show that they would put on when they didn't know what else to do, and they already had the rights, so they'll put on reruns of Transformers. So I never saw it in order. It was every here and there. For a couple months it'd be at this time, and then they finally have a new show, so they move it to some other time, and again, never in order. And I only watched it sporadically. So I wasn't a huge Transformers fan growing up, though I did watch the show. Um, and so I don't know much of the lore. I don't know when they're messing something up and when they're not messing something up. That's the first impression I must give. When the movie came out, I actually liked the first one. I thought it was rather fun, enjoyable, action packed, and most people do give credit to the first one. The second one came out. It really didn't. I know Michael Bay. I know Michael Bay films. I know he's a better director than really what we have in front of us here. He made one of my favorite films, The Rock. I know people try to now, at this point, accredit everybody except for Michael Bay for The Rock, but the man was the director on that film. You can't say he didn't contribute to the awesomeness that film was, especially his cinematography. Even people that highly criticize Michael Bay acknowledge he's a good cinematographer. It's hard to actually say he's not. Uh, mm. I'm sure just by saying that, though, there's going to be one or two rabid fanboys out there that are going to come after, how dare you give a positive thing to anything Michael Bay did. The second one was a mess. It was a mess for multiple reasons. I think Bay himself didn't have, much like Lucas has just admitted, probably didn't have anyone keeping him in check. For the second one, he certainly didn't have writers to keep him in check because they were on strike. And you can clearly see things got a little out of control. And he's still kind of bad here, but at this point, it's like it doesn't stand out in the film because it's part of the franchise at this point. but I didn't find it. I wasn't foaming at the mouth, angry at it. It met my expectations. And an incredibly long battle at the end, which I was. Well, I watched Battle Los Angeles and enjoyed it. I can't really complain about long battles, although for some reason, and this is the same in this one for the final battle in Chicago, you feel like, God damn, that took forever. I mean, Battle Los Angeles, the entire film was a firefight, but it didn't feel like it. I mean, same thing with Saving Private Ryan's. However he does that, those movies feel exhausting by the end. Like, you're, Jesus Christ, that took a while. Both the Egyptian battle and the Chicago battle in this one really felt like that. I mean, it takes a long time, and you are kind of going, is this thing over yet? It's not as bad on second or third viewings, which I have had with Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. It does go by a little faster once you know the pace of the film and what parts are coming up and what parts are going to happen. But the first time, it takes really forever, and that's probably my biggest criticism with both films, is the ending feels you're so exhausted by the end. And that chewing up ice is going to show up on the microphone now, isn't it? Now, next thing I should have to get into, well, so I kind of gave you my background. You knew the skids and mudflat thing. I also wasn't overly offended by that, but here's the reason why. When I saw those two characters actually reminded me of two people I knew in real life in high school. Both were white, so I didn't actually, yeah. So that's probably why I didn't immediately associate them with racism, is because they reminded me of two white guys that I knew in high school. Even kind of down to their looks, which was kind of scary. I think even the color coding was right. As in, I think one always wore it, getting into, yeah, so the whole racism claim didn't hit me. I obviously see it. It's clear when people say that it is, but I'm just saying, me personally, I didn't draw the racism claim just because the two people I immediately thought of when I saw those two were kind of white wannabe rappers in high school, so. But you kind of have my frame of reference there. I wasn't the biggest, it's evil fan, but I do acknowledge it. That film had a ton of flaws. And a lot of those flaws do translate to this one. Now, the other, well, 60-pound gorilla, I guess we can call it, sitting in this room, sitting in the room here, is the Megan Fox thing. Real quick on why she wasn't in. I think, alright, here's what they're saying. Well, one thing that they got from the actors, and actors have to be diplomatic and all this stuff, so they're never going to say another actor was a bitch to work with or anything like that. Was it she left because of she was offended by she wanted to do more feministic role. I call BS on that. Not just because, that's what she does in Michael Bay movies. That's what she does in every project she was in, was being this oversexed thing. Even Jonah Hex, even some of her shoots that she's done. So, Megan Fox being offended by the sexuality thing, I call BS on it. But she was apparently a pain to work with. I believe that you can kind of see she was thinking of herself as a diva, and apparently, I can guarantee you both Spielberg and Bay were already getting sick and tired of her when she made the Hitler comment. I think that just broke the back for Spielberg. That's my opinion on why she's not in this one. And they do pretty much call her out. She goes, she broke up with me, and now I moved on to better things with a replacement actress. I cannot remember her name. She's there. She does what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to be eye candy. Winds up falling for Sam when he meets him in the White House. And they're, well, you know what, this movie is going to take way too long if I try to go through scene by scene. So I'll just hit on some of the points. One point that immediately the movie kind of bothered me with this, they did a CGI JFK. This is like right in the beginning. This isn't in particular a spoiler. And, first of all, they didn't have a CGI Obama and they didn't have a CGI Nixon because they're both also in the opening montage, sort of. They tried not to show the faces of the stand-in actors for Obama and Nixon, but they did with JFK, and they decided to CGI it. Why? No, it didn't look good. Just get an actor. Just get a JFK impersonator. They did it for McNamara there in the same scene with him. They had a actor play McNamara. You could have done that with JFK. I don't think anyone would notice. Or you could have at least shot it so somebody was blocking his face. Uh, but alas. Um, the basic plot of the movie, and this is getting into somewhat spoiler territory, is the original leader of the Autobots. They find a ship on the moon. The ship contains the original Autobot leader with his secret weapon slash device that will allow them to basically teleport huge objects anywhere. Could be an army, could be supplies, could be an entire planet. The Decepticons had apparently, way back, this is getting into major spoiler territory, had made a deal with him. Apparently the leader, who's voiced by Leonard Nimoy, realized that the war was lost and Cybertron was just going to be a wreck afterwards. So he made a deal that he was going to teleport teleport Cybertron above Earth, and they would enslave the human population to rebuild after making a truce as a way to preserve their race. Which explains why Megatron first landed on Earth. Although they did already explain that he was looking for the cube, which the motivations in the background is all over the place. You could say that the reason he went there, because originally he was supposed to follow the cube to Earth, which they found, which played a huge part in the first movie. And now it's, no, I was going to meet him up on Earth. I was going to meet up this ship on Earth. That's new motivation. So either they lied and it was a convenience that they found the cube, and then apparently Earth also was this. I mean, I guess you could say that the reason they decided to pick Earth was because of the Fallen. That's where he started off with his little rebellion over these humans. So yes, we'll enslave these humans. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of make sense with the second and the third movie why they'd pick Earth, but then they had the whole cube thing. Earth must be right next to Cybertron. That's the only explanation why all this shit falls on it. Yeah. So Leonard Nimoy's character there, prime character, winds up betraying after he's resurrected with the Matrix or spark of leadership, or I forget exactly what it's called. It is like 3:30 in the morning. He can apparently resurrect anybody. I don't see why that wasn't used previously for certain characters. But they resurrect him. He, after a while, turns on him. Turns out the Decepticons are using human agents, including one who's a jackass business guy. And they decide to invade. They get their little pieces. Their plan is to then spread them out throughout the world, and they'll teleport Cybertron to Earth. Earth gets fully invaded, and the humans are enslaved to rebuild the planet. It's going to be hard to have humans rebuild a planet that doesn't have atmosphere. At least I don't think it does. A little confusing on that part. But giant battle ensues in Chicago. Pretty much all the... Okay, first off, Sam... If you haven't seen the film, Sam kills Starscream with a little special cyber gun thing he gets, a grappling hook and then a bomb. Optimus kills... Actually, he kills both Megatron. He winds up killing both Megatron and Leonard Nimoy's character, whose name's escaping me at the moment. And he kills him like bad. This is major spoiler. After he beats him, basically Megatron decides to screw them both because he kind of sees that the other guy is going to take over the Decepticons. So as Optimus is getting beat down by him, Megatron betrays that guy, and then Optimus kills Megatron. And as the other guy is wounded, Optimus just pulls out a fucking gun and just blasts him in the head, going, you betray yourself. And after this guy's been having the crap beat out of him. That is just cold blood. I went over to my friend, I'm like, do not fuck with Optimus Prime. That motherfucker, he will ice you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really. I mean, I just get the overall plot. We're 15 minutes in. This is a long ass review already. Because the movie was really long. It felt long. Um, what else is there to talk about? There's interestingly, they filmed this movie while I was living in DC, as I was doing my internship in DC, and I actually did get really excited because apparently the location that they put the Nest team as the Nest team secret headquarters, I recognized the building because it's supposed to be right across from where I used to work at Coast Guard headquarters, uh, which is really just a power plant that they then CGI'd a helipad on. Yeah, it's basically a power plant, which really actually the actual location would be a horrible place to have a secret team because it's right next to a public marina, and only like really within not spitting distance, but within easy walking distance of the Nationals baseball stadium. This is a horrible place to put a Black Ops team, even though it would be right next to a major DHS facility and an army base, which is at Fort McNair. But I really want to know how they filmed this thing in DC. Uh, I wasn't aware of it, and like I said, they must at least filmed a quick shot or two right next to where I work to get that building shot. And I kept on recognizing little side street. Like, there's probably a couple scenes in that film that you don't think were filmed in Washington, and actually were filmed in Washington. Not on the mall part, but in the city itself that I kind of recognized. And I do remember that the reason we found out they were filming it when I was there is because one of the Metro cops smashed into Bumblebee, the actual Bumblebee car, and pretty much wrecked it while they were filming it because he was cutting through Farragut and hit that sucker head on. That was all over the news. And never saw them filming it. And on even if it was on the weekends, we went all over the city. And like I said, on the weekdays, I know they were. I saw like I always got off on L'Enfant Plaza to catch a bus every day. So if they were filming on the weekdays, I would have seen them filming because that would have messed up my bus schedule. Since I drove a couple of those, I recognized some of those streets from my bus route. So I am perplexed, but alas, I just kind of wanted to get that in. It was kind of fun. I guarantee you, if there's any Coasties out there who worked at headquarters, you'll back me up. That is the power plant next to next to the HQ. Granted, there's probably only be 50 people that'll watch this review, but if one of you are in the Coast Guard and you happen to work at the Coast Guard headquarters, I am right in that, right? The Secret Nest team, when they get the overall shot, is supposed to be that power plant. But that's me personally. I know. And now we're at 18 minutes, and I could talk more. I could probably. I know as soon as I go to sleep, when I wake up tomorrow, I'm gonna think about 3 things that I wanted to say in this review that I completely forgot. Uh, at least the parents aren't in it as much. uh, really, I think you're gonna already know if you're gonna like this movie or you're not gonna like this movie. So most likely you're watching this review just to see what I think, see if anyone's agreeing with your opinions. And if you are foaming at the mouth, hating this film, saying it's horrible, I understand why. Me personally, I can't, and I think I kind of explained that. I haven't been as big into the Transformers thing. I don't disagree with you. That's all I want to say. I don't. If you're saying this movie is crap, I understand completely why you think it's crap, and I will not actually. I'm not even going to say you're wrong. No, I think that's it for the night. I'm gonna go to sleep. Maybe barely get this thing up before I pass out here. Night.